tugging on certain heartstrings. It's reaching me in a way that nobody else could do it, because you have the ability to communicate in a way that connects to me. Everybody can't do it, right? So there's people that are just like that, walking around wondering, stumbling, getting their information from wrong sources. People are just preying on your weaknesses. They're lying to you in your face. They're
Lot.
they're telling you one thing when it's something else, and they're getting led astray.
Hmm.
We have a responsibility on this earth to bring people into the light. That is one of the main points of us being here. I don't. I mean, now you can agree or disagree, but that's where I stand at. That's how I feel about it. I'm supposed to connect to somebody. I'm supposed to help somebody understand that there's more to life than what they are seeing.
Hmm.
So to say that this conversation is fruitless or is pointless is absolutely asinine to me.
Yeah, and people that are not in touch with themselves sometimes need other people to point it out for them. And so you oftentimes, if you're not exposed to religion or you aren't exposed to spirituality, you might not know where how to cope with things that come at you. um i I think it's important to have the information available for anybody that does seek it. But at kind of speaking to why earlier he was asking why it's because everybody is going to receive different things from God. You can't across the board put um like, for example, God, I believe my calling is the environment, is to reach out to people about the environment, and also um for what I call an awakening. Like, I believe my interest in psychology as well is meant to help people and find their ways to happiness. But I can't come at every person expecting that they're all going to be as eco-friendly as me, or as interested in God as me, or as interested in, like, not everyone that comes to me is going to have ADHD. Not everyone that comes to me is going to have bipolar disorder, or is going to feel God in the same way. Some people feel God more in their thoughts. Some people feel it more in their bodies. Like, there's different ways to receive God, to feel God, to see um to find your purpose. And so you have to be more broad, because everyone's journey is going to look a little bit different. And so you can't generalize and say everyone's journey is going to end up looking the same and everyone is going to reach the same conclusion, because everyone is different. And even God knows that.
And what is the conclusion that we would even reach, right? Like your conclusion could be Shakespeare, and my conclusion could be freaking
Sylvia Plath.
oh yeah, Shel Silverstein. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever conclusion you come to, it's different. It's based off of your path in life, like your individual experience. Like we each have our individual experience, and we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like with me, I need something, right? Like I need a Bible, and I need a constitution, and I need a law that is outside of my opinion and your opinion that I can go to for natural truths, right? Even like with science, like there has to be something that I could go to, because when my opinion is against your opinion and they're both differing, well, then we have to find what the truth is. And it can't be like, well, it's my truth, but there is a truth. Like
Yeah.
1 + 1 is 2. Like
Mhm.
that's what we're taught. That's the truth, right? But
Mhm.
we have to come up with it. But if your opinion on 1 + 1 is different from my opinion on 1 + 1, then we have to figure out, well, how does that look? Maybe we're just speaking two different languages, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people are willing to do that, and they just go off of their perspective, and their
Mhm.
perspective is the only perspective. And then it's like, teach me your perspective then. But then they may not really understand their perspective enough to teach you,
Mhm.
right? Like if I learn from the Bible and I go by the Bible, then at least you have a perspective. Well, let me talk to them about the Bible. But some people say their perspective is the Bible and they don't even understand the Bible. And then it's like, well, let's get to this so we can figure out some common perspective. You know?
Nah, you're right. And that's why, like, I think it was like a couple months ago, we did a show on understanding the context, because context will save you a lot of headache. It will de-escalate a lot of confusion and back and forth. Unfortunately, when we get in these discussions, we already go into a predetermined that our way is going to be the way. We don't make room for, well, let me hear what's happening here and reevaluate some stuff. Maybe because there's a possibility that they might have something that I don't, and vice versa. But we don't do that. A lot of shows don't do that, and it makes for a meaningless back and forth, especially when all you're trying to do is prove your side versus them trying. Like, let's say Just or Sydney, you come up here with a presentation on something that you have knowledge on. I spend the majority of the hour trying to attack it and negate everything you're saying. What was the purpose of the conversation?
So how I see things is like the purpose of my conversation is to plant a seed, right? Like I don't expect anybody to just come along with what I'm saying right now. But what I do is I plant a seed. That's all I could hope for. And then you could walk away like that guy doesn't know shit. And then maybe throughout the next couple of weeks, there could be something that confirms what I said, or multiple things that confirms what I said. It's kind of like in the Bible when God said, or when Jesus said, some plant, others water, but God gives the increase. All I'm doing is, it says the sower sows the word. All I'm doing is planting a seed, right? And then hopefully one day that seed will sprout. And then you'll be like, you know what? You were right. You know what? Just wisdom. I get what you were saying now. It took a couple months. Like right now, it doesn't really matter. It's the future that matters. Like what we're doing is for tomorrow, not today. Like you said at the beginning, right? You said you're doing this to create a legacy, right? The legacy, like, so each, like, as you get bigger, like you're planting seed after seed after seed. Not everybody that watches the first one is going to dig it. Not every, or the second time, or the third time, but maybe there'll be something that they be like, oh my God, this resonates with me. Because maybe they saw you a couple months ago, and then each time the seed grew, like it was watered and watered. Somebody else said something, and it brings it right back to you. Like, oh, deep entropy. I remember that now. He's so fucking smart. And then they'll come back and they'll start watching your stuff. But you have to plant that seed. Without that seed, there's nothing, right? And
come back
can't change anybody's mind if they've never even thought about it. Like the reason why people believe lies over truth is because lies is already in their vocabulary. The truth may be something foreign to them. And so you have to plant a truth seed in them, and then it has to grow over time. Otherwise, it'll always be foreign to them. But that lie may have what they were told their whole life. And so it's like, I don't believe you. Because that lie had time to grow and spread branches. They've gotten comfortable underneath its covering, you know? So.
And those seeds can be dormant for years and years. Like I've had moments where something in my present life ended up connecting to something way back from like my childhood or something, like where a bunch of things will all connect all at the same time, like when you plug in a string of lights where everything all connects all at the same time. And so sometimes you don't even know that those seeds are being planted. And that's why I always think it's so good to expose yourself to as much education as possible, whether it's spiritual or like typical academic education, because it does all eventually connect back together. Whenever I go through the Bible, I can often find similarities to how God describes creation, describes people, to actual scientific principles that are in physics and chemistry and psychology. And I've always believed that really because God created everything, like science is how we understand God as well as the Bible or like written word.
I agree.
This like entire exchange, it just further cemented the fact that we do in fact live in this bubble.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, including myself, I've been in that place where what I knew was what I knew, and you couldn't tell me nothing else. And I built my own world and my own infrastructure. I created my own statutes. I bent the laws, and I adjusted the doctrine to suit my sins and to suit my own theories so that I could feel comfortable doing things the way that I wanted to do them and not the way that he wanted me to do them. I already know. I already understand that process. I understand the after effects that come with it, the backlash, what it does to you, what it does to the people around you. And so when you decide to have these type of conversations, and I mean like you unearth things and you start hitting heartstrings and start touching certain little areas, is always going to trigger somebody. I don't care.
But that trigger could bring forth growth.
Exactly. I think you can't. I always say you can't love somebody if you lie to them. I don't think that. I don't think that you can say that you love a person and sit there and allow them to continue to walk a certain way that is going to get them harmed or hurt. I would rather just you never be in my presence ever than for you to just tell me one thing when you really mean something else. A lot of people would rather be lied to than to hear the truth. But that's okay. You weren't supposed to be popular. You're not always going to be liked. And maybe you might build some type of situation where people are looking at you like you're the opposition when you're really not. But like he said just a few seconds ago, you're planting seeds, and those seeds will eventually grow just like any other seed. You bear fruit from doing something positive or negative, and it depends on where you decide to be on which side. I just choose to be a little more aware and a little more self-conscious about what I consume. I think that's my ultimate message.
Even God never really preached ultimate restriction. He always preached moderation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he understands our tools.
Right. Real quick, I want to read off Strav's comments, and if y'all have anything that y'all want to add on before we close out, you can do so. He said, "Be fruitful and multiply," but also this brings to mind the whole thing about if God exists, why does bad things happen to us here? But first, because of the fall, we were never promised that our human experience would be sunshine and rainbows. We were told we would experience adversity and persecution. The promise was the everlasting life that comes after. faith comes in. Faith comes by hearing. Sadly, believers will be the only or the initial Bible the average person will ever read. Our responsibilities, one of them is spread the gospel and serve one another. And as JW pointed out earlier, to sharpen iron, to build up one another, but people can't know what they aren't introduced to. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
All fact.
Mm.
I do. I have one question, and we can close out from here. One question. And I'm genuinely curious to know what people think about this. Why do we have this me versus the world mentality? Why why is it that we would rather? It's like you only want to help people that make you smile. You only want to help people that bring you joy. But when it comes to wanting to help your enemy or help someone who did you wrong, now you select. Now you don't have the same. How can you say that you're operating from a specific place when you only do it for specific people?
It's tough to be humble. It's tough to admit that some people might make you uncomfortable. Some people might, like, very, very, very few people are able to handle themselves appropriately in front of somebody that vehemently disagrees with you. If you are like, if you ever want to test anyone's character, challenge what they say, because they will show you their true colors as soon as you start attacking what they say, if you come at them for what they believe in. And I think a lot of people have a hard time setting aside the discomfort of knowing that somebody thinks differently than you and there's nothing you can do about it, because you can't look at somebody and say believe this and then have them accept it readily. People are going to keep their opinions, and a lot of people do not like that they cannot control what you think.
So what was the question again? What
The question was, how is it that you can be selective with when you're spiritual and when you're you're supporting or you want to be uplifting with people? Like you can do it for someone who brings you some type of pleasure or some type of joy, but you can't do it for those that spite you, that pray against you, that want to see you fail. You can't do it for them, but you can do it for the other side of it, where it's all funny, like he said, rainbows and things of that nature.
I think people, it's what feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels good to do good things for people that fuck with you. And it sucks doing things for people that you know have an issue with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and so like I'm 45, right? Like you're 40, you're on a different path. Like you're at a different level where you're starting to see the truth of people, and maybe like your circle is getting smaller or whatever, right? Like I'm at a point where it's like I don't actually know who likes me and who doesn't like me, right? Because there's so many people that say that they like you, but they really hate on you, but they smile in your face. And then there's people that maybe seem like they're assholes to you, but they really respect you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of maybe blunt or whatever. So then I just get to the point where if I'm going to do something for somebody, I'm going to do something for somebody. It doesn't matter whether I feel like they like me or whether I feel like they don't like me, because that's still a point of view. Like, how do you know somebody can't stand you, right? How do you know people are out to get you? Like, they may have just told you, like, they may have just told you that your slip was showing, like you may not want to smoke around here. And they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe he's telling me I can't smoke. Like, you ain't my boss. But then like 10 minutes later, like management could come around and be like, you're not supposed to be smoking here. And you might be like, oh, he told on you, but he was really warning you, this isn't a spot to smoke. But we're at the point where we think if anybody tells us anything that's contrary to what we're doing, they're against us. So then but that may not be what it is. And people that are smiling in our face are for us. Like the Bible said, the devil was more subtle or the serpent was more subtle than any other beast. The serpent slid up on Eve like, did God indeed tell you you can't eat from this tree? Like, he was jealous of you, but those are the people where they'll be like, hey, I'm going to do nice things for this person because they got my back. Like, the older you get, you start realizing that not everybody that you think has your back really has your back. So then to kind of answer your question, like I've just gotten to the point where if I'm going to do something for somebody, I'm going to do it for them regardless of how I feel they feel about me. Because maybe they just need it, right? Mm-hmm. Like say if I was a millionaire, right? And maybe like me and Prince Prodigal have this huge falling out again and we hate each other and whatever, and then years go down and then I'm like a Billboard charting person. He's a Billboard charting